Welcome to In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. As always, we're emanating from our studios that First Star Logistics has provided us, and they are the best. One of one, second to none. And that is exactly what our special guest this morning is as well. Al Golden, one of one, second to none. This guy is unbelievable teacher, an amazing leader of men. And those two qualities are two that every single coach wants to have that gets into the profession, believe me. Coach, you have done a phenomenal job with this Bengals defense already. The installation process, you're well into that. And these guys understand what you're about. You've coached here in Cincinnati before. The guys that you had when you were here in Cincinnati before know exactly what they're getting, and they're thrilled about it. I mean, they're about as happy can be, because they know you are an outstanding football coach, and you're going to give them what they need, the tools they need to get ready to play football at the highest level they can possibly play it. And that's all a player can ask for, tools to the toolbox to be ready to take on any opponent the National Football League has to offer and play well against them and ultimately defeat that opponent. And they every single player, defensive player in that locker room, coach, believes in you big time. I mean, I've heard some great things guys are saying about you already, and that's a tremendous compliment. And,
well, we're excited to be here. We have a great staff. I love the input and the variety that we've put together in terms of our play calls and the concepts that we're building. And then also just, these next 47 days, Dave, is about, how do we find out what our defense does best? What's our defensive identity? Who are the leaders? All of those things, I think, will manifest here in the next 45, 47 days. And obviously start fast is a big part of that.
Yeah, that's been an issue, Coach. As you're aware, I'm sure that the slow starts have curtailed strong finishes. The Bengals have had some strong finishes the past few seasons, but they've dug so deep a hole that just getting back to 500 is a challenge, and then trying to finish anything above that is pure gravy. But it just hasn't been enough to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Dave, as it relates to start fast, I think it's really important for us to understand, like, you don't wake up Wednesday of game week against Cleveland and say, okay, now we want to start fast.
Yep.
There are innumerable opportunities over the next month to train your mind, your body, your position, your unit, your team to start fast. Practice one, drill one, group period one, team period one, whatever the case may be. You're coming off an off day. How are you going to start the next day? Does it come from the ground up? In other words, is it coming from the locker room? Are they empowered, and do they want to start fast? Are the coaches leading by example in terms of starting fast, in terms of their energy, their body language? Are they as prepared after a day off as they would be, on day 4 in succession? So all those things are really important. And my job is to make sure that our unit understands what the head coach wants in this situation. He's laid it out since the day I got here. And we have to make sure that filters all the way, through our position coaches, down into the locker room, and then obviously through our leadership on defense.
Coach, I couldn't agree with you more. And I do think that, the players, like you talked about, I mean, the players know the onus is on them. I mean, they've got to get themselves ready to go every single day. I mean, coaches, and you got an outstanding staff, and you're an outstanding football coach yourself. You can get guys going, man. You can get guys rolling in practice, but it's up to the players to bring themselves to every single practice, every single meeting, every single thing that you're doing to try to make this football team better with the right mindset. I mean, they have to be ready to go. They have to be ready to learn, ready to absorb, ready to process, ready to take what you're giving them, the great information and the great tools and schematics and everything that you're giving them. They have to be ready to take that to the football field and go out and have practices that are outstanding and start stacking them, day after day after day, meeting after meeting after meeting. I think that's a big key. Teams that I've been on that have been successful have done that. It's like the graph goes up continually all season long, and you're playing, you're playing at an extremely high level fairly quickly, sustaining it, and then, knocking it up a notch, when you get to the playoffs.
Yeah. So how do you do that? You do that by trusting the head coach's plan. You do that by forming great habits that can endure a season. Like Dave, you played out here, so this place can be the hottest and coldest place in America, from August to, December.
You're right.
It's really ironic. So what's going to endure? Like, who we face is going to change every week. The concepts that offenses are running against us are going to change every week. Who we need to game plan against certainly changes, from week to week. But it's your habits that will endure, especially when you have a head coach that's going to take care of you. So if you're going helmets in November, or you're doing a lot of walkthroughs in place of practice so that, you have a fresh body and that you really want to finish strong. And I think there's no doubt there's a correlation on how this team finishes relative to how the head coach practices. But you got to buy into that. You can't just say, well, I really like going helmets, but you don't have the habits formed in terms of tackling or ball disruption, or you don't have the situational awareness that you need. So all of that we got to put that in the bank right now. We got 45 days to do that. The head coach is going to take care of you. You got walkthrough days. You got days off. We're not on the field very long. We use walkthroughs and meeting time. And again, that's where the leadership is gonna really have to, rise up for us. To be quite honest with you, we're going to have to identify here pretty quickly, Dave, who are the new leaders? Who are the leaders of the 25 defense? I can tell you who the leaders were, the last 5-6 years around here. We can all name them. We all know strong personalities, good football players, but now it's an opportunity for some other guys to lead, particularly on the defensive side.
So, Coach, you've been around for a while, coached at a very high level and coached unbelievably successfully at a very high level, which is tough to do. And to do that, more than once. I mean, everybody can, have a year where it all falls into place or whatever, but every single year that you've been a coach on staff or as a coordinator, whatever the case may be, you have answered the bell in terms of, getting your defensive unit to perform at the highest level that it can perform at. And that's not an easy task. And you talked about leaders, and I know coaches lean on leaders and leaders, love to carve out a role for that particular coach. Who are some of the guys that you project might be, leaders? And you can never have enough. That's for sure. I mean,
no,
the more the merrier.
Can't have
right?
enough. And you need leadership at every position. So whether it's BJ Hill or Joseph Osai or TJ Slayton, on the D line, we need all those guys to step up and be great leaders. And Cam Sample's right there too. We need all those guys, and obviously we're still missing 2 on the D line. And when those guys come back, we need them as well. At linebacker, Logan is not a real vocal leader, but he puts his work in every day. He is one of those guys. If there ever was a leader by example, he's that guy. I think D Knight is probably a little more outgoing in terms of not afraid to be vocal. So we have to, bring him on that transition, from being a rookie to being a leader. In the secondary, Battle and Gino at safety. You got a number at the corner nickel spot that can do it. Dax, Newton, Cam. There's a lot. And then, people always talk about in terms of your unit model, you need leaders and great teammates. what you can't have is a third party. You need leaders and great teammates. You just cannot have any third parties if you want to be a championship defense. And truly, Zach provides, the arena for these guys to be empowered, to have locker room leadership, to be led, by the players and from the ground up. And I know right now who the leaders are on offense. I know who the leaders are on special teams. We have to identify who our leaders are, who's going to be on the field, identifying the situations, getting us in the right spots, changing plays when we need it, and answering adversity, because that's a big part of, the NFL game.
A lot of these guys, you get to the National Football League level, you've performed well, obviously, exceptionally well. You've been a star on your high school or college football team, and you've been a leader. You've had a leadership role probably. The bottom line is, even if you're not, an outgoing, boisterous type personality, people have followed you because of your level of play. I mean, you kind of lead by example, whether you realize it or not, by what you're doing out there, the way you're getting after it, and the way you're approaching every single day, getting yourself ready to get after it. So a lot of these guys have been captains in the past, in the high school and collegiate days. So, they know what leadership is all about. And do you feel like you do have a good number of guys? I know you've got guys that have been captains in high school and college.
No, there's no doubt. I mean, we have the right guys. Again, you can listen to the noise, but what's unheralded here is just how good an offseason that we did have. The signing of B.J. Hill, the signing of Osai, the signing of TJ, the signing of Cam Sample, the signing of Burks, the acquisition of Carter and Knight at linebacker. So we've made great progress from a personnel standpoint. But the DNA and the identity of each team changes every year, no matter what. You can never just, and again, Coach Parcells used to say this all the time, you got every year you have to start over. A team is reborn every year. There is no continuation. I think we won the last six games of the year last year, or whatever it was. It was a great finish.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You can't carry that forward.
Right.
The dynamics change. Some guys have departed, and great people, great leaders, great football players that achieved great things here. But now, the torch has been passed. And so now there's an unbelievable opportunity for guys to step up and make this their team, make this their unit, make this, their position. And Dave, I have no doubt that we have the right people in the building. And I think it's going to sort itself out here pretty quickly in the next 2 weeks.
You mentioned Bill Parcells, incredible leader, Super Bowl champion, obviously knew what the hell he was talking about, and players knew that he knew what the hell he was talking about for sure. And very demanding, very, in your face leadership style when it had to happen. But players realized what he was doing was for the betterment of the football team and to make them a better football player. Do you feel like your coaching staff, there's leaders on the football field in terms of players, but there's leaders on coaching staff as well. You feel like there's leaders at every single position group in this coaching staff, Coach?
I do. And I think it all starts with Zach. He's an empowering leader. He's a servant leader. He gets us what we need to operate and do our jobs at a really, really high level. He's got great insights. Hey, have you ever thought of this? Or I mentioned yesterday, just, him and Joe Burrow sitting in here for, whatever it was, 3 hours or whatever it was, who cares? They sat in here for, in the dark with us watching film for a really long time. And you could see as, there was a lot of new coaches at that time, Dave. And I had met Joe and spent 2 years with Joe. So, but you could tell there's a lot of new coaches that were like, am I supposed to be asking him questions, or how does this work? And then by the end of everybody became disarmed because he is so approachable and knowledgeable and wanted to share. And then all of a sudden the conversation just kept ramping up. And And we feel that same way about the offensive staff, like whether it's Pitch or Justin or any of the guys, Troy, any of the guys on offense, like, you know, Scott. I mean, I can go down there and, hey, what are you doing on this zone block? What are you doing on this gap scheme? You know, like they're just it just creates an environment where it's continuous improvement. You're continually trying to improve yourself, trying to learn more about the game. And I think that filters down, you know, from the coaches, you know, to the players. And I said yesterday, and it might have been at your station or your segment, Dave, but I said the players, you know, again, you can't fool the players. You either have that as a staff or you don't. And you can't BS the troops.
Yep.
And right now we have that. And I think it creates a great environment, a winning environment, and an environment where leadership is going to flourish in the locker room. So I'm looking forward to watching this kind of unfold here.
Man, I'll tell you, the division, the AFC North, Coach, you're acutely aware of what the AFC North's all about.
Yeah.
And physicality in capital letters is first and foremost. You know, these guys don't mess around, man. They come after it, and they try to take it from you. You know, there's no doubt.
Yeah, Dave, it was harder when I went on vacation. It was hard when I went on vacation, and then it got exceedingly harder when everybody said, you know, I'm like waking up on vacation and I'm like, oh, okay, teams are still getting better in our division. So that's good.
I know. It's great.
It's you know, it is what it is in this division. And if you come out of this division, obviously you have a great chance at the bigger prize.
Absolutely. And I really do fully expect, and you know, not embarrassed to make the prediction. I've done it. I've done it on, you know, my various broadcast responsibilities and others when contacted to be a part of other broadcasts, et cetera. I think the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl. I really do. I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe that 100,000%. You got a quarterback that can beat anybody. He's got skill receivers that are as good as there is in the National Football League. He's got a tight end that is very, very savvy, very, very talented tight end receiver in terms of, you know, knowing what to do and when to do it. Great route runner, all those kind of things. Solid offensive line. Defensively, with you at the helm, I just think that the defense has taken a tremendous jump, and I think that's going to show up from Jump Street. I think that's going to happen right away. I don't think there's going to be any, you know, hey, let's ramp this up, boys. Let's get it. Is, I think you guys are going to come out of the locker room humming, man. I really believe that, and I think this football team has a tremendous opportunity to win a Super Bowl, the first one in franchise history. What's your feeling on that, Coach?
Yeah, I think for us, you know, it's always great to have those goals and aspirations. And obviously, you already alluded to it. But, you know, one of the reasons, you know, I wanted to come back is because of who we do have in place at quarterback. And I'm grateful to be a part of an organization that has that kind of, you know, young man, that kind of leader, that kind of talent, and that kind of selfless, you know, quarterback that gives you a chance to win every day. So once you have those goals and aspirations and you're not afraid to share them with each other, which is great, because that's what drives, you know, that's what, you know, gets me at Starbucks at 5 a.m. and gets me in here every day. You know, they just laugh when I show up at 5:01. But the reality is, Dave, now, you know, as you turn to tomorrow and we open camp, you take those goals and you put them in a little lockbox and you put them away and you get focused on the process and, you know, win the day, win the drill, win the meeting. And again, from that standpoint, what I always say to the guys, I always try to share with the guys, it's like NASCAR in that realm, and really culture wins, right? Because in NASCAR, you all have the same tires, you all have the same engines, you all have the same gas, you all have the same, you know, dimensions on your car, all those things. And they're very, very strict rules.
Right.
So, you know, where do you get your edge? You know, and you get it in the pit, you get it, you know, by how your driver is, you get it in all these little elements of NASCAR racing that are outside the parameters, if you will, you know, and that's us. Like we're the guys are going to have an opportunity to study tonight. Do they study? Are they coming engaged tomorrow? Do they have questions that, hey, what if they go to bunch? What if they are in bunch and then motion out? Are we checking? What if it's empty? All of those things. How do we attack our core fundamentals tomorrow? The ball disruption, the tackling. What about our situational awareness? That, do we have a vast majority of guys on defense that understand the situation? All of a sudden, it's 2nd and 11. Let's get back on track. Well, what are we expecting in that? So those are all the situations and all the little opportunities. I look at them as just a bingo board of opportunities every day of, all right, how do we put a check in this that's better than those other guys in our division?
Good stuff, Coach. Get me fired up. Get me like I want to try to go out there and play football again, man. That'd be fun to do. You talk about getting that edge, whatever that edge might be, just that little bit, that little one little thing that might get you over the top. Well, we already talked about it. At the quarterback position, I feel like you get an edge. I feel like the Cincinnati Bengals have an edge with Joe Burrow, number 9, under center at that quarterback position. I think the guy is as talented as I've ever seen. I think he's got a skill set that's incredible. It's incredibly phenomenal, really. The way he can throw it, the accuracy with which he throws the football, his mechanics and fundamentals are second to none. He reads defenses as well or better than anybody that I've been around. I mean, when you have a guy like that under center, you probably feel like, you know what, we got a good start here. We got a little bit of an edge where we need to have one.
Yeah, well, he brings the edge to the locker room, right? Because he's physically tough, right? He's physically tough. He's mentally tough. He's competitive. I mean, I see it on the field. I saw it all spring. He's competitive. He's not afraid to challenge everybody, make everybody around him better, right? And he allows the guys around him, makes everybody else better. He allows the guys around him to be their best, and he distributes the ball accordingly. So there's a lot of different, on any given play, there's a lot of different things that you're trying to defend. Whether it's Jamar, T, you mentioned Jasecki, you got guys coming out of the backfield now with Chase. So there's a lot of little areas and a lot of game within the game that he is a master of. And so he's making us be better every day, and he's bringing out the best in our defense, both as a unit and individual positions. And I know he does that on offense as well.
Coach, coming back into the National Football League from Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a hell of a football program, a hell of a football team. You guys made a run to the national championship. Congratulations on that. That's phenomenal. It's very, very difficult to accomplish. It's a hell of an accomplishment. How different are offenses now in the National Football League to prepare for? Have they done much changing in terms of formations, motions, personnel differences, that sort of thing?
No, I think you see more of the college influence in the NFL now than you probably did a decade ago. I don't think I don't think anybody would argue that. So you're seeing more of that RPO, more of that space game. I think there's probably less variety, especially if you're an independent like Notre Dame. 1 week you're playing USC, the next week you're playing Navy.
Right.
So it's not like you're in the Big 12 and you're playing Big 12 football, or you're in the Big 10, you're playing Big 10 football, and maybe there's 2 or 3 outliers. When you're at Notre Dame, you're playing all these different regions and all these different styles of football. And so you need a very pliable defense. And I think that's one of the things that we take a lot of pride in is that we have a number of answers that are simple, and we're constructed for the long haul. Yes, spring is a little bit more difficult under this system, and you'll be challenged here in the summer. But once we come out of the break, you won't be walking in on a Wednesday or Thursday, and saying, "What is this? This is a completely new defense." And I think that's what's important to the players and allows them to play fast.
You bring up a great point, Coach. Intelligence, smart football players. At Notre Dame, you had smart football players, no doubt. In terms of football IQ and just raw intelligence, I mean, just very, very bright individuals that could take it to a football field and apply it in terms of football IQ. This football team has a bunch of pretty intelligent guys on the defensive side of things. How advantageous can that be? I mean, when you're game planning, when you're thinking about what you're going to do on a week-to-week basis with, like you said, all the talent that you're going to be playing against, and you mentioned the word pliable. I think that is an outstanding word. The players have to be pliable and have to be able to adjust to what's going on in front of them because there's unbelievable talent, in these offensive football teams. Their skill sets are crazy.
I think as coaches, especially at this level, I know for me, I gravitate towards guys that are problem solvers, that have great, football intelligence.
Yep.
It's something that I covet in the process. I tend to get involved in as many interviews as I can to see if a guy is a rote memory guy or does he really understand the bigger picture and the concepts. And I think we have a lot of those guys on our team right now. Oren Burks is a guy that jumps to mind, been in a number of different systems and, understands concepts. And once he learns, the nomenclature, he's fine. Then he understands what he needs to do. So, but the game is won on the grass, Dave. The game is won on the grass. And at the end of the day, if your guys aren't empowered, if they're always looking to the sideline for the answer and they can't get the DN in this position, if the back is here, or get the tackle, to spike or do a stunt or, change the coverage based on this look that is just an awful look versus this coverage, all those things. So if you don't have guys that don't have the confidence to do that, and that's our job as coaches, is to empower them, to give them that confidence, to not make them afraid to make those decisions. The worst decision that a player can make on the field is indecision.
Yep.
And if Logan makes a decision, it could be the wrong decision, but if he's emphatic about it, if he's deliberate about it, if he's audible about it, then all 11 of us will be playing that call. And that rarely hurts you. What hurts you is indecision or being tentative or guys not being demonstrative or audible. And I think that's what we're trying to get these guys to the point where we just have a lot of confidence. We have a little bit of a, competitive edge because we have, confidence on the field.
That's phenomenal. I mean, that's great. It's if you get beaten because the guy was better, that can happen. I mean, these guys get paid too. They're really good players, man. They're in the National Football League. I mean, they're extremely gifted, extremely talented. You might, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, once a game at least, But man, I know it probably has to drive you crazy because you are so detailed in your preparation and so committed to arming the players with everything they need to have and everything they need to know to beat an opponent and to make all the necessary changes and adjustments that they need to make to beat an opponent. When guys make mental errors, I mean, that has to just drive you crazy. Paul Brown used to say, look, we get beaten because they were better than us physically. I know that's difficult to accept, but, I can accept that easier than I can accept us making 10 mental errors that destroyed our chance, any opportunity to win the football game. I mean, if you don't give yourself a chance by knowing what the hell you're doing out there, we shouldn't be out there. I mean, that was his approach. What's your belief?
Yeah, I think a team is a reflection of its coaches, and so I always look at myself. If there's a lot of mental errors, then, well, we missed something in translation or we had too much in. And I think, as you get more experienced in this job, in this seat, I think, one thing I've learned is I'd rather be, on the short side of that and have a defense that plays fast, that is really sound fundamentally, that shows on film that they understand how to tackle, they work together, they attack the football, and they identify situations. To me, that's what's going to endure at the end of the day. But you just can't win. Like, especially you can't win if you have a lot of mental errors, and especially in September, Dave. Like, more games are lost than won in September. So, get the ball back to our offense, give our offense a chance to score, put our offense in position to be successful. That's our job. Our job is not self-serving. Our job is to serve, the guys, in the other two units, and give our team the best chance to win. And I think, to do that, we have to eliminate a lot of those unforced errors.
I love what you're talking about, Coach, and I love the way you talk about it. I love the way you approach the game of football. And we talked about your defensive unit having intelligence, raw intelligence as well as football IQ. And even with that said, and Paul Brown was the master of this, we're going to do a few things, man, and we're going to do them exceptionally well. These are going to be the things that we lean on every single week of every single game opponent all year long. And really, these are our core principles. This is what we're about. And I'm not going to, I'm not necessarily burden you or tax your brains. I know you guys are smart. I know you can handle all kinds of things, but we are going to do a few things exceptionally well. And you watch. When we do those few things exceptionally well, we're going to win a lot of football games. That was his MO, really.
Yeah. Well, I understand why he was successful doing that. And, part of this journey that we're going to go on here the next 45 days is to see what we do best.
Yep.
To see which players have carved out roles that just make us really, really hard to beat. And that's probably, at the end of the day, that interpersonal connection, those relationships, the development, that's probably the thing that, still, lights my fire as a coach after all these years, just to watch guys like Newton in the spring, and watch him improve every day and go on the journey that he's going on. And, I could say the same thing about a number of guys right now. Just, some guys are coming off of injuries, got a little edge about them, got something to prove, helping them return to great form. We got rookies that we're trying to get, to understand the game at a high level and obviously be impactful this year. So I think, that's the journey that we're about to embark on. And it starts tomorrow morning at 8:45. So excited to get it going.
And finally, Coach, talking about Paul Brown and his big thing was, I want smart football players. I want intelligent football players that have a football IQ. And the other thing that he felt like is establishing the interpersonal relationships that you're talking about, creating bonds, putting players in situations on and off the football field where these friendships blossom, and it's like, man, I'm totally committed. I'm all in. I want to do the best job I possibly can to help my football team, my guys, win this football game, defeat this opponent, knock this team down. And the best way to do that is to have that kind of real deep feeling for the guy that's lining up next to you. I don't want to screw up. I don't want to make him look bad. I don't want to be the guy that makes our defense look bad. I'm going to make sure that I'm where I'm supposed to be, when I'm supposed to be there, doing what I'm supposed to do.
Well, Coach calls it connectivity, right? And we want to be a connected team. And I think, from that standpoint, I think we're blessed, and it starts in the locker room. It starts with our quarterback, and it permeates throughout the building. And again, I said earlier, Zach provides us that, opportunity as coaches to operate like that. And I think the players feel that. And I think the players themselves, we have so many really, really great young men down there. It's fun to be around them every day. It's fun. And just the different personalities and the interactions. And, sometimes I'll be like, I'll walk into a meeting and I won't be angry, so to speak, but I'll be like, man, we got to get this right. And then I'll look at one or two guys who will start making me laugh. And, it's just great. It's a great just the players here challenge you to be the best that you can be. Just having a long conversation with Dax yesterday about everything but football, just cherishing that opportunity to get to know him a little bit better as a person and what's important to him and his journey, because I've been through a lot of the things that they're going through, maybe off the field or having young children or having to move or whatever the case may be. And I think that's the one thing that's awesome about being a Cincinnati Bengal is just, that culture that's in the locker room, man. It's just awesome.
And got to hit on that, Coach, finally. The culture you talk about in the players, zero jerk factor. I mean, there are no jerks, no assholes in the locker room. I mean, it's like that's not permitted, man. That's not what we do around here. Every single guy in that locker room is all about the guy next to him. Every single guy in that locker room is smart. Every single guy in that locker room wants to be a team leader. Every single guy in that locker room is going to make sure that he does what he's supposed to do to make the football team better. That's what leaders do. That's what good players do. And this football team has a bunch of good players that are high character, high quality people.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think the one thing, if I could share with the guys, it's that these windows are so small. Like when you're young, you think you're always going to have this opportunity and,
yep.
And that's just not the case. These windows are so tight. They're so small. And this is our moment. This is our opportunity. And we have an opportunity each day to seize it and learn how to do the little things that are going to make the biggest difference for our team moving forward. And that is going to differentiate us from everybody else in our division. So again, that starts tomorrow at 8:30.
Coach, I'm excited about a lot of things with respect to this football team. That I think this football team is a Super Bowl champion. I think it's got the DNA to do that. I think it's got great players, it's got great leadership, it's got tremendous coaches. And Coach, you are a tremendous football coach. I couldn't be happier that Coach Al Golden is back with the Cincinnati Bengals, leading the defensive side of the football team, because you are intelligent, high character, high performing guy yourself. And your players are going to see that, and your players are going to emulate that. And I know you're going to, have expectations that they do that for you. And I'm just excited to see how well this defense is going to play, because I think it's going to kick some ass. I really do. I think it's going to be a great defensive football team, and I think we win a Super Bowl.
Well, we're excited. Again, I think the biggest thing, as I said earlier, it's great to have those aspirations, but at the end of the day, they're aspirational, they're emotional. What we have to concentrate, for us on a daily basis is just, like we talked about earlier, what do we have to do right now to start fast, to be better than our opponents in this day, and build great habits that are going to hold up, that are going to withstand all the different forces that come against us this year. So, hey, Dave, one more thing. Just congratulations to you on the Ring of Honor.
Thank you, Coach.
That is incredible, and I'm sure that you haven't even had a chance to even sit back and reflect on it. But your name is going to be on this stadium. I mean, for centuries to come. I mean, think about that. Think about that. That's freaking awesome, man. What a great, tribute to you and your family, and the name that your parents gave you, man. God bless you. That's awesome. Congrats,
Coach. I can't thank you enough. I mean, you as I've found out in working with you in the past, you have a great way of summing things up, man, and putting it in great words. And you hit it. I mean, the fact that name's going to be on that stadium in perpetuity, man, it's crazy. Eternity. Yep. It's nuts.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what my grandkids are all jacked up about. They're
have you got measured yet for your jacket?
I did, yeah. He took so many measurements, man. that jacket is going to be custom fitted. There's no doubt about that, man.
You.
Oh, yeah.
Man. Well deserved, man. Congratulations.
Coach, can't thank you enough. And here's to a 4-0 start, baby.
Awesome. All right, we'll catch up on one of these days off here, okay?
I look forward to that, sir. Appreciate
All right,
you.
Dave. Thanks,
Thanks
guys.
for everything. Dave Lapham here. While games are over for the season, there's no off-season for In the Trenches with Dave Lapham or First Star Logistics. First Star Logistics gave away great prizes during the season, which will continue with exclusive content in the First Star Media Group YouTube channel. So please, do me a favor. Subscribe to In the Trenches, hit the like button, and visit the First Star Media Group YouTube channel for exclusive content and special giveaways.